I can't deny I love this character, but why? He doesn't even show up that much, but still, here, damn it, have my heart, just take it. I thought about this for 100 hours and something clicked. Not only about this one character, but about the characters that share that same archetype, something I've been calling the vulnerable gentleman. But in the end, still think this little guy here is kinda special. And hear me out, he might be inspired by the Buddha? You don't want video essays that talk about obvious things. You want the strange, the unexpected, the kaleidoscopic, don't you? Stick with me, I'll build this mental path. We'll get there. The brilliance of the writing here stems from our preconceptions, our expectations as an audience, and how this guy always delivers the opposite. So, let's explore some dualities. You've heard the question, who are you, before, but how many times have you heard the question, where are you? I'm not talking about your geographical location, but where does the you exist? In the West, the two most common answers are here, the concept of me exists within the bounds of this body, but also here in the mind. If I lose my legs, I'm still myself, but if I lose chunks of my memories and behaviors, I'm not so sure anymore. But those are not the only possible answers. The Japanese, like Hayao Miyazaki, will often say that they exist here in what they call the kokoro. Kokoro is commonly translated as the heart, and in most cases that's a great translation, but it doesn't work every time. The heart and the kokoro share this idea of being the center of emotions and even spirits, but the kokoro carries the sense of being somebody's nature, the thing that defines your personality, your inclinations. If your self, your sense of self, exists in this place called the kokoro, then you're still you, no matter what body you occupy. This is a recurring theme in many Japanese stories. Who are you when you're stripped bare? Who are you ultimately? This question often comes in the form of you inhabiting a different body. And I think this exploration is what led those stories to give their characters difficult bodies. After all, we can't help but to judge a book by its cover, even when we know better. And when this is the cover, our expectations are low. This or this or this are not the shapes we associate with heroism. Think about it, two of them are directly associated with rubbish, and none of those bodies can communicate clearly in worlds where most people can. Just look at this body. This is not giving strength, this is not giving protection. This body is not designed to help people, to be gallant in any way, just like this body is not designed to hold somebody's hand. And this body is not giving great savior, hero of time. But they all do it anyway, because their hearts, their kokoro, are designed differently. He can't help himself, despite any circumstances, despite his head being a vegetable. He had to be a gentleman, or else he's not himself. Quick side note, the scarecrow I'm talking about is from the Studio Ghibli movie, and if you didn't know, that movie is an adaptation from a Welsh novel written by Diana Wynne Jones. Comparing the two makes it clear that Miyazaki made a deliberate decision to portray Turnip Head as gentle and caring, because in the original novel, the scarecrow is depicted as scary. Here's how Sophie finds out Turnip Head is alive in the book. A turnip face leered at her. She smelled mildew. Against the white blue sky, a ragged arm ending in the stump of a stick wheeled round and tried to paw at her. It was a scarecrow. It was only made of sticks and rags, but it was alive, and it was trying to come in. "Calcifer!" Sophie screamed. "Make the castle go faster!" The stone blocks round the doorway crunched and grated. The green-brown moorland was suddenly rushing past. The scarecrow's stick arm thumped on the door, and then went scraping along the wall of the castle as the castle left it behind. It wheeled its other arm round and seemed to try to clutch at the stonework. It meant to get into the castle if it could. Sophie slammed the door shut. That was the scarecrow she had propped in the hedge on her way to the castle. She had made jokes to it. Now, as if her jokes had brought it to evil life, it had followed her all the way here and tried to paw at her face. The original character might have the same bodily issues as the Ghibli adaptation, but his brutish body aligns with his brutish personality, so it doesn't really deliver the same dichotomy. Anyway, let's go back to the analysis. Even when this little guy can't be of service at all, he's eager, he's trying. When his true body is finally revealed at the end of the story, this is a mere detail. We already know who he is, who he'd be despite any body shape. And do you know why? From a storytelling perspective, those challenging bodies help highlight the internal characteristics, because we're not so sure about ourselves. Every character from every story you've ever experienced asks you the same question. How different or similar from me are you? Yes, those hard body characters need to put in more effort, and we see them doing it. And as an audience, we can't help but to ask ourselves, would I also go the extra mile? Wouldn't I become bitter? Wouldn't I be too hurt to be my best self? If my head was turned into a turnip, wouldn't I just give up? Hold that thought for a second, because now we're exploring. Okay, stick with me. I know I'm going really far, but I promise I'm going somewhere. So here goes. What if this character is showing us what it's like to be the Buddha? And that's why we enjoy it so much. It sounds far-fetched, I know, but let me make my point. Then you can tell me if I'm crazy or not. In the words of English writer and philosopher Alan Watts, a Buddha is one who awakens from the illusion of samsara. That is, from the thought that there is something to get out of life, that tomorrow will bring it to you, that in the course of time it will be all right, and therefore one is set pursuing time, as if you were trying to quench your thirst by drinking salt water. In other words, to become a Buddha, one must abandon the idea that there is anything to be achieved, to be obtained from our existence. Once you find yourself outside all longing, you can fully experience the present. You are 100% here. There is only here and now. There's nothing else to be pursued. If you've never listened to Alan Watts' lectures, there's a bunch of them free on YouTube, and they will massage your brain. But anyway, let's have a look at our scarecrow. His situation is dire. A cursed, useless body with no way of communicating, getting stuck in bushes and pipes. How would you feel in such a situation? Don't you think a pretty reasonable response to such dire conditions would be to despair? You've lost everything, and look at you. You're pathetic, and you have no way of knowing how to revert this curse. Personally speaking, I have collapsed into a crying heap for way less than that. But this guy is not despairing. This guy is hanging the wash. The Buddha. Only somebody who is outside the rat race of desire, only somebody who lives perfectly in the present moment can act in a calm and detached manner to such extreme tribulations. So much so that when his normal body is restored, his reaction is not even highly emotional. Thanks for breaking the curse, my dudes. I'ma head out now, cheers. Liking a character like that is easy. Yes, he looks rather pitiful, hopping around in a ragged frack, but his way of dealing with it is far superior to mine. I'm better than him in all the least important ways, but he vastly outclasses me in the really important stuff. The vulnerable gentleman gives us, the audience, an interesting mirror. Who would you be if suddenly your whole world shattered? If you were treated unfairly? If you got the short end of the stick? Would you still find it in you to be kind? would you still be a gentleman? Hi, my name is Jorian, and this is my channel about stories and the human heart. If you enjoyed the mismatch between the words heart and kokoro, you're probably gonna enjoy this other video here where I explored Babel's gorgeous translation magic. And a special thank you to my patrons. As soon as I got to Spain, my 2 big lamps that I used for recording just broke in transportation, and it felt really good to go to the store and buy a new one, knowing that you folks were helping me out with this. Thank you so much, and I'll see you next time.